Welcome back to Developing the Leader Within podcast as we address leadership from different angles to bring you what you need to succeed. Tony Taylor is with me today, and I am so happy. Tony is owner of Tony Taylor Inspired LLC and podcast host of the Leaders Lead podcast. He is also an author and a John Maxwell coach, trainer, and speaker. Tony, welcome to the show, brother.
Hey, welcome. It's so weird, man. That's the first word that I say because I'm used to having my show. Thank you for being so welcoming of me on your platform, man. I really appreciate it. It's good to see you again.
Same here, brother. Yeah, I could tell that, fellow podcasters, we got this thing in our head, right? And we want to spot it out. And it usually starts with welcome. So that's too funny. But folks, today we're going to be talking about leadership and inspiration. I couldn't think of anybody better to talk about this than Tony. He runs around with Inspire all over his stuff. And so, Tony, before we get into the specific topic for today, tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, dude, a little bit about me. I'm from a small town, Gary, Indiana. I grew up in or with the mindset that, all I needed to do in order to be successful was to graduate high school. That was like my big dream, graduate high school and go work at the steel mills in Indiana. And that's pretty much, if you're successful, that's where you're working at, because that's where you're going to get the six-figure job. I ran my hand at that for a little bit, and I decided, it's not me. I'm not much for manual labor. And then guess what I do, man? I joined the United States Marine Corps, which was insane. It was just a different kind of labor. I did some time in the Marines. I got out, worked for the Department of Defense. I then was recruited to go work as a civilian in safety. And it was then where I had reached this goal, because I always had these, like, inside of me, I was always like inspired to whatever I was doing. I wanted to be the best at it, and not necessarily for everybody else, but for me. But I went and I was working as a director of safety. It was the highest that I can go at that point. Was just getting ready to get promoted to vice president. And I'm in my office. I call my wife and I'm just like, this is not what I thought that it was going to be like. I thought that I was going to feel different. I thought that, the world around me was going to be different. And she was like, what's wrong? What do you want to do? And I'm like, I don't know. I want to come home. She said, come home, baby. I packed my stuff up, man, and I haven't looked back. No, I didn't put it in the 2 weeks. Man, I had just hit that wall. Man, I hit that wall, and I was already like giving speeches and doing podcasts. I think last time me and you were together, I might have had just escaped. So I was still trying to find my air, but man, it's come full circle. I'm doing it full time. I love what I do. Every time I wake up in the morning, dude, I'm just so inspired to give. And that's what it was for me. Full circle was just being able to give. And there's a big difference. I thought that I needed to rise in order to feel good, that was my life's purpose. But I realized that my life's purpose was to give. And that's from me to other people. And that's why I'm here with you today, man. I want to give. I want to be as transparent as I possibly can, because I believe that there's a strength in vulnerability. And that's what our whole platform is based on, vulnerability. If I'm happy, if I'm sad, I'm going to tell you. And I'm going to tell you how I'm working my way out of the sadness. And then once I'm out of the sadness, I'm going to tell you what I did to get there. Right. So yeah, dude, thank you, man. I know that was a handful, but yeah, I can go on and on.
Well, that's why we're here, brother. So we got plenty of time to chat about all that. It's funny that we share a similar situation there, because that's that's something that how I got into where I am. I just said that's enough. And walked out, right? I just walked out, something that normally we wouldn't do because we're so professional, and we would want to do things right, and in a timely manner, and an orderly fashion. But you get to sometimes to these spots in your life where you just have to pull the cord, man. Pull the cord and let the wind take you. So nice to hear you share that with us. Now, Tony, we see your T-shirt. Hey, inspire, ignite. It's funny that you was a firefighter. You talk about ignite, but but
That's actually
what?
what I got my degree in, fire science, which is weird. Yeah.
Well, there you go. So you actually do know how to ignite. So why inspiration?
Yeah, that's a good word. That's a good question for a beautiful word. For me, in inspiration, you look at the Latin word, is in, right? What's inside of you, and it's that spark. You ever been in a moment, a time in your life where uh, you wanted to do something, but for whatever reason, just like a car, an old car, you just couldn't spark, you just couldn't start. So that leaves you sitting on the couch, that leaves you sitting in your chair, but not actually getting up to go out and do that thing that you want to do. And for me, that's always been the case. It's always been, I needed that spark. There was a reason that there was somebody else was the reason why I couldn't start, or my environment is the reason why I'm not starting. And now I'm just like, okay, after studying, after learning through the trials and tribulations of life, not just my life, but the lives of others, different mentors, listening to stories like yours. I'm like, man, it comes from inside. It comes from within first. I can't make a change in the world if I'm not willing to change myself. So that's why it's inspire for me. And it's also more than anything, brother, it is a visual reminder. How can you, go and wash your hands, or look at in the mirror, right? When you go and wash your hands or do whatever, something that's reflecting on you, how can you go and see hashtag success to you and not think about success if you're seeing it all day? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, man, it's a visual reminder.
Yeah, that's beautiful, folks. There's something that I like to say is like, in the absence of flames, be the flame, right? In the absence of
Ooh,
something, be that something. If you want to see it, if you don't want to see it, then don't be it. And believe me, if you're in an environment that there is no flame, you won't. But if you want to see it, then be that what you want to see. And it has to be within you, right? So when you talk about inspiration within you, you can't expect a flame. And by fire signs, right? I know by fire signs that being a firefighter on a ship, right? You learn fire signs. You know how to take one of those things out of that triangle to make that fire go out. But
yeah, take the element out and it's done. You need three, right?
right. So in the case of us, as we lead leaders or lead people to try to lead, then there's elements that you cannot have a fire if you don't have it, right? And it has to be a spark. Sometimes that spark must start within you. So there's a big misconception at times about inspiration and motivation. So tell me what you think the difference is, because there is.
Yeah, yeah. I'm glad you asked that as well. I've it's weird, man. You talk to certain people and they're like, "Oh, you're a motivational speaker, or you're an inspirational speaker, or you're a transformational speaker." Sometimes, man, I like the whatever works for that person, right? If you need inspiration, right, you're trying to find it within. That's all cool. When I look at the different words, when I look at inspiration, and I'm thinking about spark. That's the first thing that comes to me. That's the spark. What is it going to take for me to come from a place of inaction into action? But then when I look at the word motivation, I'm thinking about the reason. What's my reason behind it? What's my why? That's my purpose. Like my motivation for doing what I do is to help other people that were in the same place that I was in, to help those folks say, hey, you know what? This is not working for me. What do I need to do? What is my calling? What is God calling me to do? What is the universe telling me that needs to, like, what is manifesting inside of me? So yeah, that's definitely inspiration is the spark from within for me, and motivation is the why.
Yeah, and it's so interesting how you could have one or the other, but they actually multiply if you have them both, right? You're actually
Yeah,
going somewhere if you're inspired, and then you're actually motivated to keep that journey, keep that tempo, keep that track, right? So it's
yeah,
wonderful. Um,
yeah,
so a lot of people don't have that spark.
yeah,
There's a lot of things that have gone on in our lives the last 2 years, uh, and not just the last 2 years. And we'll be talking about your book here not too long from now. But in a trajectory of a person's life, a lot of things happen
yeah,
that that spark is, almost nil. If if
yeah,
if there's even a smell of that there was some type of smoke before or fire before, it's almost negligible. What would you tell a person? Um, well, first of all, where do you get your inspiration from? Right, because that's
ooh,
key. Where do you get your inspiration from? And then how can you tell someone, or how can someone find it for themselves?
yeah. So for me, I'm motivated. My motivation behind everything that I do is to help people, right? I want to help people. And I realized in order to help people, I needed to help myself. I'm inspired to do that because, like, it pisses me off to see people that have so much talent inside of them, but not being able to see it. It pisses me off that I was in that spot and I didn't really have nobody to push me to say, dude, you're really good at this. You're really talented at that. And that's what I want to do. I want to be that person, not to um not to walk on top of somebody, not to be like this big figure. I want to walk with people. And for me, that's what fills my cup. It fills my cup is like runneth over if I see somebody, and it don't even have to be from some words that I've told them, but if I see somebody that is or has just realized their purpose and they're freaking running in it, or somebody that's been running in it and they know exactly what they were put here on this earth to do. And if there's anybody that is still trying to figure it out, I would say that's good that you're trying to figure it out, because there's some people just like you were talking about before, there's some people that don't even know that they don't have it figured out. Some people that don't know that they're wasting God's given potential, or whatever it is that you believe in. If you believe in God, you believe in the universe, they don't know that they're wasting it. So I love those folks that are just like, hey, what do I need to do to figure it out? And I think that that's a beautiful starting point, knowing that you don't have it figured out. Most people, and I want to believe that a lot of people that don't have it figured out kind of know that they don't, but they're just trying to pretend like they don't so that they can continue to walk aimlessly in life. But if you're that person, I want to tell you right now that God put you on this earth for a freaking reason, for a reason. And you're going to stumble, you're going to fall, but you got to keep getting up. And you got to have that mindset of being committed to the process, and knowing and understanding that everything is not going to work out. For me, I was for the longest, and I it's still not on my LinkedIn resume because it's not going to serve me at this point. But I would not put all the jobs that I did because I was so ashamed because I had did so many things that didn't work out for me. But little did I know, now that I look back, dude, I was building this freaking super weapon. I was going and I was taking different pieces and plotting them and putting them as far as like chinks to my armor. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like going to the doggone junkyard and getting the scrap or the best piece of metal on each piece of car. Dude, I got the best carburetor in me because of my experience. It might not look good all the time, but you know what? I'm running way stronger than I ever have before. So I want to tell you, if you're in that position right now, understand, like, you might have to keep going through the junk and find that carburetor that's going to work for you. And it's okay to fail. But it's not okay to fail if you're not learning from that failure. So if you're at that point to where you're just like, okay, Tony, like, what the heck are you talking about? Like, where do I even start? And I would say, start with you. Start from within. What is it that make you happy? I genuinely like seeing people happy. Like, smile for me real quick, brother. Dude, that made me happy. So that's what I seek. I seek to make people happy. So if whatever you like, if you like to see people in pain, dude, you might be a freaking a damn good boxer. If you like to see people looking good, you might be a doggone good seamstress or a doggone good tailor. If you like to see people like it, I can just go on and on, but just follow the things that you like, no matter how small or big you think that they are, but they are you.
Yeah, your comments there just quickly reminded me, and you're talking about people. Hey, folks, if this is you, I also want to remind the listeners that the time and age of fake it till you make it are gone.
It's over.
That's over, right? It's over. And this is why I say that is because we're talking about inspiration. We're talking about what sparks inside of you, and people know when you can't. So the only one lying to yourself is you. You can fake it all you want. We know you can't. So the best thing you could do is, just be reflective and say, you know what, man, look, I'm a broke down car, and now I might could take you for a 1 block ride, but I'm still broke down, right? So if you expect me to take you to 2, then you might want to hop out down the street and then get on this other car. But if you're truthful, if you're honest, if you're forthcoming that way, people will take a leader that can do that, And now, obviously, you will have to grow. You can't just be a broke down car all the time. But if you're broke down, tell people you're broke down and don't hide it.
Yes.
And we're talking about leadership, talking about inspiration, and there's some leaders out there that are trying to figure out how to, inspire teams that have. The other day, I was telling somebody else in another show. I said, "Hey, the folks that are coming back to the workforce, actually to the office, are not the same people
They're not.
that left. They're not the same people, right? So leaders have to learn and relearn how to treat there's new people. It's the same person, different person though. So what are some things leaders can do to create inspiration in their teams?
Yeah, dude. These Man, when the pandemic first hit, uh, I'm I'm not going to lie to you, man. It was probably about 2 days before it hit. I had told my wife, man, I wish there was like a reset for me. I wish life could just slow down because there's all of the stuff that I need to work on, like from inside of me, and all of these different plans that we have, and it happened, right? It happened, but little did I know all the different changes that would happen because of it. My whole family dynamic is completely different from the start of it to now, when we're not even at the end of it, right? And man, I feel like I've grown about 15 years because of the different things that I've been through. And I am not alone. There's folks in the workforce that have suffered. There's folks in the workforce right now, right? That, maybe they're going to work and they don't have childcare. Maybe they're at work and they're mourning the loss of a loved one. Maybe they're at work and they still don't feel comfortable because there's been a bunch of different psychological things that have came up in people, right? The world is different. Everybody is different. And if anybody says that they're not different from, 2.5, 3 years ago to now, then they just haven't got to that point of realization, because everybody is different. We've had to live completely different lives. So I would tell that leader, go in it. When I say go in it, like go in your meetings, go in your conversations, go in your office with grace. With grace. It kills me when I see these announcements on LinkedIn when folks are like, all my employees will report back to work physically in the building at such and such date during a freaking pandemic. Or if they say it's going to be completely the opposite way, because like I said, people are different. People need grace. There's going to be times where you're going to need your employee, they're going to need to call off for a week. And that's, yeah, maybe freaking, maybe a couple of years ago that wasn't cool, but it definitely should be accepted right now. And I think that's the biggest word that I can think of, man, is just giving folks grace. And that's what leadership is for me, is giving people grace and actually serving people and not serving your own individual needs or your own company's needs. What is it that's going to make that person happy? Because it's proven. We made things so diverse and things have worked. There's companies that have made, freaking quadruple than what they were making before, because they sent everybody, out of an office that was 100% people in the office to, 100% at home. And they realized that they're working so efficiently, right? We got forced into grace during this pandemic. And I don't think that grace should end. I think we should keep continuing. I think God has showed us a different path for a reason, and we would be fools not to take that path. As a leader, you would be a fool not to take that path of grace.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. Back in, it's almost been 2 years since you and I were at the same conference trying to get our Maxwell certification.
Yes.
Right around that time, unfortunately, uh, my mom passed because of COVID. So during that time, though, to your point
I'm
of
sorry,
grace,
bro.
Tony, to your point of grace, during that same time, I mean, this was right after. So we went to the conference virtually, obviously, but we knew we were in there.
Yeah.
And so my mom passed. My leader at the time, the CEO of the company that I was with, applied grace in a way that I've never seen a leader apply grace ever. And that lady has inspired me from then on, because what I saw was, because a lot of people try to shy away from bringing uh, Christian values, right? Christian values into the workforce. But grace is not a world thing.
Yeah. It's
Right?
not.
That's
It's
not a
not.
world thing. All right. So she brought that in and applied it to the point where it truly liberated me to be able to focus on what was happening at the moment. And unfortunately, it didn't work out because it was just too much, right? When somebody loses a mom, I want to tell you right now, it's not like we love dads, we love aunties, we love grandmas. We get
It's just
now,
different.
but it's a different thing, and so anyhow, she applied grace, and so I love that you bring that up because that's truly what's needed for now and going forward. Because we all know we've all didn't have it in the bag at one time. We
Right.
all know as leaders that hey, we used to be late. If you tell me it was 100% attendance all your life, something's got to give. you know, Somebody's lying, or man, you need a book, right? You need to write one.
We need to learn from you, man.
Yeah, we need to
Right.
learn exactly. So I love that you bring that up because that truly is one element of things that a leader must do to inspire. It sure did me. So what are the top things that someone must do to go from inspired to inspirational?
Mm, that's good. You mentioned earlier, and I started smiling when you said this. You mentioned that you could be, you could have enough inside of you to take people to a certain elevation, right? And there's some elevators that you get on, it's only going to take you to the second or third floor, right? And you got to get out and you got to walk around and go to another elevator, and maybe that'll take you a little bit higher because that's the way that some buildings are constructed, right? And it's done that way for a reason. Sometimes it's like code, certain things within the code, certain things that are written as far as the occupancy, the way that it's just supposed to be. And I think that that's how we're designed. And I am a firm believer. If you had asked me this 10 years ago, I would have been like, no, dude, what are you talking about? What is this? What is this holistic crap that you're talking about? But I believe if you're at a 2, you're inspired at a 2 and you're running hard, you know what your motivation is, you know what your why is, your reason, and you just got this spark and you're at 2, right? But you want to keep going. You want to keep going. What's wrong with going back down to somebody that's at a 1 and picking them up and bringing them to where you're at? In life, what I've noticed, and I've been there, you felt like just because you're only at this point, you can't go down because you'll get stuck. But if you got that spark in you, you know where you're going, go and get them and bring them up. And the way that you elevate is to bring other people up with you. The way that I elevate is to bring other people up with me. So each step, each blessing that I get, I'm like, it's like systematically ingrained in me. I'm like, okay, how do I bless somebody else to get to this level? Not just because I want to level up, because like I said, I love seeing other people level up. And I would encourage anybody to go from being inspired. You got to have your stuff going, right? You got to have your stuff going. You can't just say, okay, I'm just going to help everybody, and your doggone house is on fire. You can't go next door and put out their fire first. But when you level up, bring somebody with you, dude, it's going to help you so much. You're going to receive so many blessings that you cannot even contain them. But yeah, man, that's how you go from being inspired to inspirational. It's just bringing people up. You always want to replace yourself. Always want to replace yourself. And um, I want to keep getting better so that I can keep helping other people get better. And I believe that I'm going to do it. I believe that I'm going to do it with people like you. I believe that I'm going to do it with people like us, like all around the world. And I'm motivated to do it.
Yeah, this is the perfect time to talk to the book because I would not have an opportunity to have participated in the Lions Pride had it not been for you. So this is
Ooh.
one real example, folks. I'm telling Tony was just talking about it, but he does it because he did it with me. There was a book opportunity, and he quickly, hey, brother, this is going on. You want to be part of it? I was like, yep, let's go. And So I'm gonna let you talk about it though, but for the listener to understand that it is true and it is something that is proven because it's happened with me and Tony. Tell us a little bit about the book that just came out. Number one new release, bestseller right out the gate.
Yeah,
Uh,
we're number three bestseller last time I looked. We're fighting. We're fighting. But yeah, man, I'm glad that you said that, man. And I fully received that. And that makes me so happy. And I didn't even think about that. Like I said, it's so systematic for me because when I found out about the opportunity, Suzanne Semino said, tag me on something. Hey, Tony, you need to check this out. Boom. And I saw it. And there was a guy, Raphael, he is the anthologist of this book. I reached out to him and let me rewind. Let me go back a little bit. 3 days before 3 days before I heard about this project, I was doing my podcast, and Dr. Cheryl Wood asked me if I wanted to be in an anthology that she was doing for the top speakers, right? Top 100 speakers. And I'm like, absolutely. She said that God had put it in her heart to offer it to me. A couple days before that, I had never even heard the word. I had a freaking dream of anthology. I think I had a dream because I woke up and I'm just like, what is an anthology? I don't know if it was because I listened to a lot of stuff like when I'm asleep to kind of help me calm me down. But I woke up with that word on my head and it was on my mouth. And I told my wife, I'm glad I told her because it came into fruition. So Dr. Wood offered that to me. And then I saw the post for Raphael for his book. And immediately I started like doubting myself. Like I never wrote a book before, but this is the opportunity that I want because, speakers, you got to have a book. And I've been pushing that off. I don't want to write a book. I want to make sure that it's going to be perfect. But this was God telling me, dude, I'm assigning you to do this. And then I felt like God was telling me to tell other people that I felt like that might be in the same position that I am to let them get in on it. Because again, God was telling me that it's going to be a bestseller. And that's what Raphael said. Raphael said, this thing is going to be a bestseller. My last book was an international bestseller. So I'm like, oh my God, who could benefit from that? You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, man, I hit you up. I hit a couple other brothers up. And then I put out a post. But yeah, man, it's come full circle, dude. I read your story. I think is phenomenal. The only reason that I know that it's you, because all the stories are anonymous, but the only reason that I know that it's you because you've been on my show and we're actually editing the footage, and I kind of can go back and I'm like, okay, that's my boy Enrique. But yeah, man, Alliance Pride. It's not a heavy read. It is 119 pages, but it is the first thing that I've ever written. I tried to escape it. I was going to hire a ghostwriter. I want to be transparent. I was going to tell people that I did it through Zoom and somebody wrote it, but I poured my heart out and soul to this. I didn't start writing until the day that it was due, and I gave myself grace, and I was late turning it in. I was 3 days late, but I cried so much writing about the story that I put in here because it came from my heart, bro. And I can tell that I needed to do it because of the way that I released while I was writing the book. But yeah, dude.
I love it, and when you get to through trials in life, and that's really that book. If folks, if you want to be inspired, uh, or if you want to be mouth wide open, let's just say that with something, this is the book to get. Not only because Tony and I were in it or have contributed to it, but because this is real life. Tony read it, so he knows about me. It's real life, folks. And it took it's got a lion on the cover for a reason, because it took a lot of courage to do what we did there. But I'm so happy that you were led to send that my way, because truly it adds to what you had already stated in your comments from before. Now, Tony, if somebody wanted to get a hold of you, how would they do that?
Yeah, you can reach me. I am on pretty much every social media site. I'm on TikTok. I'm on Instagram. I'm kind of on YouTube. I've been slacking on my YouTube. We're gonna get that going, man. But yeah, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm everywhere. Just type in Tony Taylor inspires, or just type in Tony Taylor, and you'll see my pretty face.
Outstanding. Well, folks, we'll make sure to have that as part of the show notes and the video, so that you can get a hold of Tony. Tony, brother, I so appreciate you. I love what you do. I got to get to the Pacific Northwest one of these days and break
Yes.
bread with you. Or if you're out here in the Southeast, in the Florida area, let me know. We'll definitely do that. Folks, we've been talking about leadership and inspiration. It starts with you, but it doesn't have to end with you, right? You can inspire someone else to continue a legacy, to continue inspiring others. Now, if you've enjoyed this episode and learned something interesting about the topic covered today, make sure to subscribe and let us know by leaving a comment on YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, or Twitter right now. And we're always looking for new ideas and guests that we can add to our show. So if you know someone or have a topic that you would like for us to feature on the podcast, we'd love to hear about it by emailing us at triadleadershipsolutions@gmail.com. Be sure to tune in next week for another episode where we dissect leadership from another angle. And as we like to end the show, success to you.